Hello, and welcome to Once Upon a Mental Crisis, hosted by me, your fairy godmother, Zai Moore. I'm here to guide you through life trials and tribulations with my own personal experiences. Let's travel on this road called life together and figure out how we can find happiness, fulfillment, and empowerment. Hi, welcome back to Once Upon a Mental Crisis, hosted by yours dearly, godmother, coach, Simon. Edie is here, but she's down there sleeping on the floor. I tried getting her up here, but she wouldn't come up here. That's for those who are watching YouTube. For those who aren't, same situation. Anyways, welcome to episode 2 of season 6. Today I will be going over the month of February. To be honest, I don't remember much except for my dad passing. And that's probably because my dad passed. I will say that the only reason I'm able to say that is because of therapy. So one thing that I did not cover in January, last episode, was that in the beginning months of January, I was going through infertility treatments. Dun dun. So, I don't talk about my infertility journey a lot, because I felt like it was always a continuous thing and that I didn't really feel ready to talk about it yet. But I'm ready to talk about it. So my husband and I, we got married in 2017, and we had agreed that we should wait a couple years before we start trying for kids. Just because we were still, starting out our lives. We were in our mid-20s. We didn't have a lot of money saved up for our house yet. He had just started his career as a manager, and I was still figuring myself out. So yeah, we agreed on waiting. Him more so than me. Like, I've always wanted to be a mom. I had a dream when I was 21 that I went to Target or some kind of store with my family, and I saw a baby there, like an actual baby there, and I wanted to take it home. I wanted to raise it. I was like, yeah, I can do this, I can make enough money to raise a kid. At that time, no, I did not have enough money. But still, I really, really wanted that kid. But my parents said no, my brothers said no, like everybody just said no, you cannot have it. And I was really sad. I was devastated. Woke up like in tears because I couldn't take the baby home. That's how much I want to be a mom. But because I love my husband and I had to be rational about our situation at that time, I agreed on waiting as well. So I was already on birth control when we first started dating, but then I switched to the Depo shot because I would forget to take birth control pills, and I didn't want to have an oopsie. Well, I wanted to have an oopsie, but my husband didn't want me to have an oopsie. So, being responsible and knowing my tendencies, I went on the Depo shot. And I will say that I regret doing the Depo shot because I can say confidently, pretty sure that it was one of the reasons why we have infertility. So we got married 2017, established that we were gonna have kids yet. But then my husband, as you know, quit his job, and we were going to move back to Wisconsin, and we were going to be closer to both his and my family. So my husband said, yeah, we can start trying. And it was like, what was it? It was the end of 2018. So it was going to be about 2 years anyways. And he said, yeah, we can start trying. And he did it in the most romantic way, because we were already in bed, doing the wink wink. And he said, yeah, let's have a baby. And guys, when you say let's have a baby while you're in the process of making a baby, that usually turns on a girl if she wants a baby. So just a tip there. Anyways, so yeah. Since 2018, we have been trying to conceive. So it's 2021 right now. So 18, 19, 20, 2021. So it's been 4 years. Holy crap, it's been 4 years. I didn't realize that. But yeah, it's been a very long time since we've been trying. And the first 3 years of trying was really, really challenging. Not just the trying part, but emotionally challenging, as you can imagine. It was really weird, to say the least, that, why is it weird? Let me think about why it's weird. So, I knew that instantly getting pregnant was not going to happen, because my doctor, my gyno, had already told me that usually with the depo, it'll take a while for the hormones to rebalance itself. So I knew this, but of course, the emotional mama side was like, maybe miracle. No miracle. It did take a long time for my body to regulate itself. How long? 4 years. So after I got off the depo shot, my periods were super irregular. I was either bleeding for like a whole month, or not bleeding for 3 months. And it was really frustrating. But we still kept trying. We still kept, I was tracking as much as I could, and, just doing what we do naturally, right? And then a year goes by, still no kid. At that time in 2019, my best friend, me, and my sister-in-law, we were kind of all in the same boat. We were all trying to conceive at the same time. And then, bam, 2020 hit. And I swear, almost everybody I knew got pregnant, except for my best friend. I mean, we can blame it on COVID because, pandemic, we were all at home. So, of course, naturally, what do people do when they're bored at home? They make babies. So, yeah, like, a lot of the people I knew that I were acquainted with got pregnant in 2020. And that was really hard. you're happy for them at the same time, but then at the same time you're like, damn, I wish I could have been one of those 12 people who got pregnant. But I was not. One of the people I knew who got pregnant was my sister-in-law. And for that one, I can honestly and sincerely say that I was very, very happy for them. Because, hello, my niece. It was the first, I mean, not, she's the first grandbaby of my family. So super excited, super happy. That baby was literally mine already. Yeah. That was exciting, watching my sister-in-law's belly grow and getting to meet my niece. Amazing, amazing. Everyone else, congratulations. And I know it sounds mean, but if you've ever been on the infertility boat, you can't help but have just that little ounce of resentment because you wish it was you. So it had been about 2 years of trying. So I finally went to my gyno and started infertility treatments. And the first thing that she put me on was progesterone. Well, actually, let's back it up a little bit. So the first thing that happened was I went to get my blood tested. So basically what they do is they check your hormone levels, other levels. They also check if you're pregnant, just in case. And from the results, I found out that my vitamin D was extremely low. So a normal level for vitamin D, correct me if I'm wrong, is supposed to be from 17 or 19 to like 30. That's the numbers of what it should be, the normal levels. Well, mine was at 7. So huge difference. That also explained my depression. All the anxiety and depression that I had been having for the past, I don't know. Well, I'm pretty sure I was depressed and anxious my whole entire life, so probably since I was a kid, but it explained a lot, basically. Because vitamin D affects your mood. Vitamin D also affects the ability of the egg attaching to your uterine wall. Basically, I wasn't producing enough uterine lining for an egg to attach. So my gyno explained to me that I could be conceiving, but the egg probably was not attaching to the uterine lining, and because of that, I wasn't getting pregnant. So she put me on progesterone. Progesterone is a natural hormone that women have, men and women, that regulates your body. And it's one of the contributing hormones that contributes to building the uterine lining. So she gave me that, and from that, my periods started being regular again. Because prior to that, I would go like months without a period, or a very short period, or it was just really, really irregular. The bleeding itself was a weird color. It wasn't a lot, and I just knew something was off. So taking progesterone really helped. And then I was also, I don't remember now because it's been a year, but I was on something else too that was supposed to help. And then, of course, I was prescribed vitamin D. My vitamin D was so low that I had to get a prescription, a very high dosage of vitamin D. I think it was like 50,000 IU. That's like the measurements. And I had to take it every day. 50,000 IU every day to increase my vitamin D levels. This was all happening in 2020, remember? And then, I was going through therapy, and my therapist suggested getting one of those, wait, I don't remember what they're called, but the lights, they provide vitamin D. So I got one of those, and I did everything I could to increase my vitamin D levels, which it did. It did increase. It did. Because by the time so I did progesterone for 3 months, and then after 3 months, if I still wasn't pregnant, then it was the next step. So by the 3rd month, my vitamin D levels were up, but I was still not pregnant. So we were going to start the next step in infertility treatment, and that's the hormonal shots. So, I should have done my research before I recorded this podcast. I did not. But basically, I continued taking the progesterone, and then I get a prescription that increases the production of eggs. And before this, I had to get an ultrasound taken. So what this ultrasound does is basically it checks to see if your reproductive system is working. Basically checking to see if there's any cysts, if there are any blockage in your fallopian tubes or in your uterus. That ultrasound would help figure that out. It sucked. Cause it wasn't, in the movies and TV shows where they just like put that little cone thing over your belly. It wasn't that. It was much more complicated. So complicated that my doctor told me to take pain medication, a higher dose of pain medication prior to the appointment. And I can't remember if I did or didn't, but if you have that ultrasound scheduled, make sure you take the day off because it's not the best at all. So you lay down on a table, which isn't even that comfortable. And then you just have your gown and then your legs open, and they inject an ink into your lady parts. And what it does is it coats the tubes and everything. And then your doctor will put the ultrasound tube inside you and look around. They'll also take pictures and x-rays and things like that. And it feels like it's a very long time. It was probably about 15 minutes maybe. Very uncomfortable. But good thing was that my fallopian tubes looked fine. There was no blockage. Everything looked normal. So good news. I will say that one of the things is, it is said that ink helps flush out your tubes. So don't be afraid of it. Just be prepared for it. Don't avoid it. It's actually very beneficial. I just wish they had a better way of doing it. But it's a very beneficial thing. Because I found out that I could have kids. My fallopian tubes were healthy. And in 2018 or whatever, I had already gotten an ultrasound, not the same one, but just like just the inner one, and it showed that I did have eggs and that I had a healthy count of eggs. So I knew that my reproductive system was okay by the time I had the second ultrasound, and that's good. The only thing is, at this point, is that I just didn't have enough hormones to tell my body to ovulate. And you can't conceive without an ovulation. So what an ovulation is basically after the egg is big enough, it pops out of the egg sac and into the fallopian tube. And for some reason, my body was not telling my reproductive system to do that. So I started the fertility treatment, the injections, and I took the progesterone and I took a pill. Some of you may have heard of Clomid. I wasn't on Clomid. I was on another one. Does the same thing, but it decreases the chances of having twins. So if you don't want twins, go for that second one. If you do want twins, go for Clomid. I kind of wish I went for Clomid because I kind of want twins. Anyways, so I did that twice. Once in November, no baby. Once in December, no baby. So basically you take the medication and then like 5 days after I'm trying to remember. At a certain time you go to the doctor, they inject you with a hormone that causes ovulation. After they check your fallopian tubes to check that there are eggs in there. And I always had one big egg. So I got an injection every time. But no success, no conceived babies out of that, unfortunately. And I was on my way to the third treatment. But if you guys remember from last episode, my family caught COVID and my dad was in the hospital and I canceled the third treatment, which probably was a good idea because I was way too stressed to conceive at that time. It would have been a very successful pregnancy because I was anxious, depressed, stressed, so many emotions going on that I just told my doctor that I have to put a pause on my fertility treatments. It was a hard decision, but it was the right one to do because I just knew that I wouldn't be able to conceive anyways. So that kind of ends my infertility treatments. Since then, I haven't really done anything towards treating my infertility. Just because my priority in 2021 was giving myself the time and space to grieve and to heal. I've gone through so much in the past 4 years, 5 years, that I just needed a break. 2021 has not been easy at all. Hasn't really been a break, but I've done what I felt like was needed to be done to let myself progress forward in life. So that's really my infertility story up till now. We still haven't had a successful pregnancy. I haven't been able to conceive, get any positives. I will say that my period has regulated a lot. I haven't taken any medications to help other than continually taking my vitamin D, and just being healthier. Those are the only steps. But other than that, no like injections or hormones or anything like that. So yeah, that's my infertility journey. In February, I had already stopped the infertility treatments, but that's when I started to go into therapy a lot more because I needed it for grieving and I needed for grieving infertility as well. And my therapy had gone from seeing her once a month to seeing her every week, to every other week, because I needed it. Work was, I guess at that time in February, it was just a very numbing feeling, a lot of processing, so my brain didn't really fully process the events that happened. I was in preparations of a funeral. We were discussing family matters, figuring out who was paying for what, figuring out insurance, talking to our relatives, our elders, figuring out if we were going to fly my uncles over. Just a lot of stuff going on. And then speaking of uncles, the day that my father passed, February 16th, we were able to get a lot of people on the phone to say their last words to my dad before we unplugged the life support. And a lot of them were able to say their last words and say goodbye. And after my dad passed, my family and we went home and we kind of just stayed together. And since that night, my husband and I had established that we were going to sleep over. We were going to stay with my family for an unknown length of time because it went from a house full of life and laughter to void. The house that my brother owned, my parents lived with him, and my dad had done so much on the house that it was basically my dad's house. My brother just paid for it. Everywhere in that house was memories of my dad. And as hard as it was for me to be there, it was even harder for the people who lived in that house. And I couldn't just abandon my family. So my husband and I, we established that we were going to spend the night there. every day until the funeral, and then after the funeral, we would discuss what we would do after that. Um, and that night, my cousin called my mom and told her that his dad was being transported to the hospital. So my dad's older brother, who was able to say his last words to my dad, he must have had a heart attack or something. He collapsed and they took him to the hospital. And then about 1.5 days later, my uncle passed away too. And this is like unheard of. This has never happened, as far as I'm aware of, in our family. 2 brothers passing away within days of each other. So yeah, that was February for me. A lot of processing, and I didn't know how I was gonna be. So yeah, I went to therapy. I distracted myself with work, not podcasting, but with my full-time job, and I kind of just put my thoughts into whatever I felt was distracting, because I felt like I needed to be strong enough for my family and for myself to push through the funeral, and then after that I can just kind of figure it out after that. That's not what I was thinking at the moment, but my body, my mind automatically went into that mode. That's how I can explain it best. It's like, I didn't tell myself that this is what's gonna happen. No. I just told myself it was gonna happen. It just happened, basically. I felt very numb, but like very focused as well. I just had things that I need to get done, and that's what's gonna get done no matter what I was feeling. And that was how it was the funeral day too. You know, I had things to do, and I did them. And when it came time for me to see my dad, laying there in his coffin, those were the only times that I allowed myself to grieve. I couldn't even do a speech correctly. In my ways, I like giving out speeches, and I like, talking about people, but that day I couldn't. My brain was it was like done processing. So I just said the little things that I could, and then I couldn't wait for the day to end. And then since then, we just stayed with my family. My mom couldn't sleep in her room, so we all slept in the living room together. My baby niece was here, so we all just kind of slept in the living room, listening to the baby squirm and cry throughout the night. Yeah. A very challenging first couple months in 2021, for sure. But what have I learned from that? Well, I've learned that family is amazing. In times of dire need, and emotional support, we were there for each other. I'm so grateful for my brothers. I'm so grateful for my sister-in-law, for my niece, for my husband. Oh my gosh, my husband was amazing throughout the whole entire time my dad was sick. You know, anything I wanted, my husband would do. If I wanted to go visit my mom, he would go visit my mom with me. If I wanted Culver's for dinner, he would go and get Culver's for dinner. You know, whatever I needed, he was there. And it wasn't just me. He supported my family too. He, basically, my husband, he's a game master. He has tons of board games. So that's what his job was. His job was to distract us with board games. And, you know, you think, you know, why are you playing board games when you're grieving your dad? Well, it's because we are grieving that we need that distraction. We need just a little hint of positivity to keep us going. Because we just spent every day like crying and grieving and being depressed. I mean, gosh, like it was so hard that really the littlest things was keeping us going. And that was playing board games. And my husband, that's what he did for us. He played board games with us. He made sure that we were okay. And he got things for my mother, for my mom. He was really amazing. Because of that, you know, I already love him. I'm already super deeply in love with him. You know, we've gone through a lot through our marriage, and this was another challenge that we went through, and he did amazing. And because of that, I love him even more than the day we got married. Like it's incredible how much I love him now than I did back then. Like I love him, but today I really love him. I'm so thankful for him, for sure. And that's what I took from those events, is that family is amazing, my husband's amazing, and I'm just so thankful for the people that I do still have in my life. My friends, so supportive, and you know, they gave me the space that I needed to grieve and to, you know, process everything. And, you know, they were there if I needed it. And it really showed me how much people cared about me, which is what I needed for a very long time, because I had felt, prior to my dad even getting sick, I felt alone for some reason. I felt very invalidated, and I just didn't feel like people really cared about me. And of course that was my depression and my anxiety talking a lot. But after going through what I did after grieving my dad, while grieving my dad, I realized that whatever I was thinking about before, any insecurities that I felt before, were lies, because it's very obvious how much these people care for me. Like even my husband's friends, they came to my dad's funeral. And my friends online were incredible. Everybody who I cared about me back, and I felt immense love during that time, despite my loss. And that's what I'm taking away from those events. I'm taking away the good memories of my dad. I'm not taking it away, but I am absorbing, you know, the positive memories of my dad, and the love and the care and the support from my friends and family, those who stood by me and cared for me during my time of need. Just thank you so much. If I haven't said it to you yet, or if I have already, I just want to continue to say thank you, because if it wasn't for you guys, that process would have been so much harder. So just thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope I was able to give you a little sense of clarity, peace, and encouragement for you to do what you need to do to be where you want to be. If you're feeling lost or unsure, or you just need reassurance, feel free to reach out to me on any of my platforms. I'm located on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, or you can email me at zymorecoaching@gmail.com. That's X as in xylophone, A as in apple, I as in igloo, more coaching@gmail.com. I'm always here to give you your little glass slipper and that gentle push. Until next time, have a great rest of your week, and don't forget that you can do anything.